Hi everyone, it's Sherry with artsytartsydesigns, and today I'm going to walk you through how I made this beautiful zip tie mesh fall wreath. So as you can see, I'm using 10-inch mesh and I'm using zip ties, and I'm gathering my mesh and just zip tying it to the wreath frame at each of the support brackets. Each section of mesh is approximately 10 to 12 inches long. You can just play with it and give yourself enough to make a nice poof. So you're going to continue to attach at the supports all the way around the wreath frame, and I'm attaching these to the second outer ring. Now, after you get to the last one of the first row, you're going to cut the mesh and we're going to start a second layer. We're going to use the same method, but instead of attaching at the supports, you're going to go in between the supports to attach it. And I usually use chenille stems to make my wreath, and I tried zip ties this time and I really liked it. I really liked the zip tie method. And if you are making your own, you can get a pack of zip ties at the Dollar Tree, so they would be very cost effective. So again, 10 to 12 inches with your mesh. We're attaching this second layer around the outside in between the supports. And last one, I believe, here we will attach, and when you do get to the end, you're going to do the same, and you're going to just trim the mesh, cut the mesh, and you have your first layer, your base layer of Deco mesh. And I don't know about you guys, but I really love the look of this mesh. It is black and a natural jute, buffalo plaid. It is really pretty. I believe this came from Hobby Lobby. The next layer to this wreath is going to be another 10 to 12 inch piece of mesh, cut, and whatever ribbons you choose. I'm using 3 ribbons, a black and white buffalo plaid, an orange and white buffalo plaid, and a jute or natural and black polka dot. I think it's really a cute combination with the sign I'm using. So I cut all of my ribbons about 12 inches, dovetailed my ends, and we're going to insert these into the wreath, attach them to the wreath frame with the same method using zip ties. So you're going to gather the mesh right in the middle, gather your ribbons in the middle, cinching them, run your zip tie through the frame, and just attach. Now another method, which I ended up using for the rest of the wreath, I used a bow maker. It just kind of gives me an extra set of hands. So it's a great little tool to have around. So again, 12 inches, and I placed it in the bow maker. So it just kind of holds it for me. Again, it just gives you an extra set of hands. Place your ribbon in. And then I'm going to take my zip tie, run it through under the frame, and zip it in. Now before I fully tighten the zip tie, I'm making sure I have all of my ribbons straight. The ribbon's not twisted under the zip tie, because once it's secured, once it's tight, It's tight. And you really can't undo it without cutting the zip tie. I think I ended up putting 5 bundles of these around the wreath. And in the last area, we're making a big bow. So just spread the ribbons and tighten. And all of the zip ties you can trim. I'm using wire cutters. They seem to work best, but you can also use scissors. And this is such an easy method, guys. Very easy. I really enjoyed this one. And I already have another wreath in mind, actually, and I think I'm going to use this zip tie method. This is our last bundle of the mesh and ribbons going in. And guys, this bow maker that I'm using, not as a bow maker, but just as an assist to hold my ribbons as I'm cutting and placing. I can place a link to those in the comments. If you need help making bows, they also come with instructions for that. It's a quite handy and inexpensive gadget. Okay, as you can see in the open area, that's where we're going to put our bow. But look here at this sign, guys. Isn't that fabulous? The buffalo check truck, the pumpkins, and I love the black crows. Love them. And I noticed after I placed my sign that this sign did not have pre-punched holes. So how I attach this sign is with command stick tape and chenille stems. And I use the chenille stems to secure it to the wreath. So you can see right here, I'm making the bow for the wreath. The black and white check was a 2-loop bow with tails. The orange and white check is a 2-loop bow with tails. Black and white polka dot is the same, 2 loops with tails. And this cream and black micro dot, 2 loops and tails. So I'm just going to pull that out. I'm also going to secure it with a zip tie. Putting my pipe cleaner in also so I can attach it to my wreath. And again, before you tighten your zip tie, make sure your ribbons are exactly how you want them. The zip tie does tighten it securely. So if you pull your zip tie all the way tight, it's difficult to adjust your ribbon or loop length. Okay, so next I'm going to go ahead and place my bow in, and I will trim my ends and fluff the bow once it's in. So again, I just run the chenille stem through as I said, twist on the back. We'll trim the extra chenille stem. We're dovetailing the ribbons on the ends. And a lot of times I do this after I have it on the wreath, so I can gauge a little better the length of my tails. Spread your ribbons, fluff your ribbons. If you have multiple patterns in your bow, multiple ribbons, you can see, especially with the orange popping out there, you spread them in an X. So it's symmetrical and pleasing to the eye. Do that with all of your ribbons. Look how pretty. Bow making does take practice, but you can do it. It's not that difficult once you get the hang of it. So look, guys, it's beautiful. Be sure to keep watching, and I'll